Language Learning with Study Buddy. Let's make learning and using languages fun by doing it together. Hi, my name is Garrett, and I want to study and use languages with you. 私の名前はゲレットです。あなたと一緒に言語を勉強し使いたいと思っています。Me llamo Garrett. Quiero estudiar y usar idiomas contigo. Ich heiße Garrett. Ich möchte mit dir Sprachen lernen und anwenden. Every Sunday at 8:30, I do a live stream show called English Conversation Live with Study Buddy. Every Tuesday at 8:30, I do a live stream show called English, Spanish, Japanese. And every Thursday at 8:30, I do a live stream show called Easy English, German, Japanese. In each show, I share 3 great ideas for talking about the theme of the show. After each idea, viewers have 4 minutes to write their answers and 4 minutes to write a new question in the chat. If you haven't already, please subscribe and join the show. I hope to see you soon. Nos vemos pronto. Bis bald. また近いうちに会いましょう。Welcome to 英会話 Live with Study Buddy, where we make learning and using English fun by doing it together. This is episode 4. The theme of tonight's episode is castles. Before we start, let's look at this month's 365 language planets and stars. So far this month, we have 8 365 language stars: Takanona, K Workshop, KE, Charming, Kanmama, YO, Taki Outdoor, and Hiromi Okada. Way to go! And 8 365 language planets: Tetsuro, Takesh, Yuka, A Highbridge, Hiroti, Disney, Tomo, and Saku. Nice job! If you want to become a 365 language planet, all you need to do is share an idea in the chat or comments. So, let's begin. The first question of tonight's show is, what castle do you most recommend visiting in Japan? Please listen and repeat. What castle do you most recommend visiting in Japan? One more time. What castle do you most recommend visiting in Japan? So now, please write your answer in the chat. You have 4 minutes. All right, so what castle do you most recommend visiting in Japan? Please write your answer in the chat. What castle do you most recommend visiting in Japan? Please write your answer in the chat. I think this is a tough question because there are many beautiful castles in Japan. And so it's a tough question, but please share your ideas in the chat. What castle do you most recommend visiting in Japan? And of course, you could always say, I don't know. How about you? That's okay. But if you have some advice, Please share it. All right, Takesh, thank you very much for joining tonight's show. I recommend Matsumoto Castle. I've never been to Matsumoto Castle, but I really want to go. Why, Takesh? Why do you recommend Matsumoto Castle? Take Agnor, thank you very much for joining tonight's show. My most recommend castle in Japan is Kumamoto Castle. Sounds great. I think Kumamoto Castle is in Kyushu, right? So yeah, if someday if I go to Kyushu, I would love to see Kumamoto Castle too. But Take Agnor, why do you recommend Kumamoto Castle? Please tell me in the chat. All right, Hiro T, thank you for joining tonight's show. I think it is Himeji Castle, a World Heritage Site. Thank you. Take Agnor says because it's black and cool. Talking about Kumamoto Castle. Nice reason. You know, definitely, it's always great to see a cool castle. So, nice idea. I think, you know, and maybe Kumamoto is kind of original castle too, right? All right, A Hybrid says, my favorite castle is Matsumoto Castle. Thank you very much for joining tonight's show. K Workshop says, and K Workshop, thank you for joining tonight's show. I most recommend Himeji Castle too. Is a beautiful white castle. Yes. Yeah, someday. I hope I can visit Himeji Castle. It's one of my dreams. I've never been to Himeji Castle, so someday I hope I can visit. And I hope I can visit Matsumoto Castle too. And Kumamoto Castle. All right. Kan Mama, thank you for joining tonight's show. I recommend Osaka Castle, especially spring. Oh, sounds great. All right. Takanona, thank you for joining tonight's show. I recommend Tsuruga Castle in Aizu Wakamatsu, Fukushima Prefecture. It's the best in the winter when it's snowing. Good to know. Thank you. Takesh says, Matsumoto Castle is beautiful and it's in Nagano, so it's close by, which is very nice. I like that. But it's very nice to have some place that's near. Okay, great job, everyone. Nice work. Let's move on to the next section. So this time, please write a new question in the chat. I'll start the timer, so you have 4 minutes to write a new question in the chat. My original question was, what castle do you most recommend visiting in Japan? But now you can write any kind of new question in the chat. So please enjoy using English. You could, if you want to, you can just change my question to make a new question, or you can make a whole new question. That's okay too. I want I want to give you time to enjoy using English. All right. Take Agnor says, what castle do you want to visit in Europe? Great question. Tough question, because I think there are many beautiful castles in Europe, and so it's so tough. It's so there's many beautiful castles in Great Britain, like the United Kingdom, and France and Germany and other countries. It's a tough question. How about you, Take Agnor? What castle do you want to visit in Europe? Please let me know in the chat. When I was thinking, for me, and I think, Take Agnor, great question, nice idea. But if you want to, you could say like, what drink do you most recommend trying in Japan? But for example, you could talk. You can make questions about Japan, or you can make questions about castles and different places. Yeah, you can as I always say, you can make any kind of question. All right, Hilti says, what kind of castles are there in the U.S.? Great question. I would say, no, in the U.S., there are some very big houses that are kind of like castles, but not really. And so I think in the U.S., there are big houses and there are forts, kind of like forts, like military. And then there are prisons too. Prisons are kind of like castles as well. And there's some prisons like Alcatraz and San Francisco and so on are kind of like castles, but not so beautiful. Take Agnor says, I want to visit Alhambra Castle in Spain someday. Sounds great. Nice idea. All right, Takanona says, what castle have you visited more than once? Great question. Well, I've been to Shizuoka City, and it's not really a castle anymore, but I've visited the kind of old castle area in Shizuoka City, and I've seen the castle I don't know, I've been to the Tokyo Castle place, Imperial Palace a few times. How about you, Takanona? All right. Well, let's move on to the next question of tonight's show, which is there a castle in the world that you would like to go and see? So please listen and repeat. Is there a castle in the world that you would like to go and see? One more time. Is there a castle in the world that you would like to go and see? So please write your answer in the chat. I'll start the timer so you have 4 minutes. All right. Is there a castle in the world that you would like to go and see? Please write your answer in the chat. Now this could be, it could be in Japan, it could be in Europe, it could be anywhere. So, is there a castle in the world that you would like to go and see? Please write your answer in the chat, the name. But when I was young. All right, Hilti says she would like to visit the Castle of Versailles. Great one. It's a very interesting name, in English, Versailles. That's how we say it in English, Versailles. But yeah, I would castle or palace. I'm not sure, but no, okay, great, nice idea, Hiroti. Nice job. All right, Khan Mama says yes. I want to visit the Great Wall of China, Great Wall in China someday. Very nice idea, Khan Mama. Yeah, visit, okay. Taki Ogner says I would like to go and see our Alhambra Castle someday because I've heard it's beautiful. Great. Very nice. If you're just joining tonight's show, please feel free to share your answer to my question in the chat. My question is there a castle in the world that you would like to go and see? All right. So I just wrote, when I was young, I wanted to go and see Mont Saint Michel in France. How about you? All right. Takanona says, in Hyogo Prefecture, there is Takeda Castle, famous as the castle above the clouds. I would like to go there someday. That's great. Nice work. All right. KE, thank you for joining tonight's show. I'm not sure its name, but I'd like to visit a castle in Germany which stands on the top of a hill. Yeah, there are some amazing and beautiful castles in Germany. Nice idea. Takesh says, I would like to visit Prague Castle. Nice. Okay, great job. Nice work, everyone. Let's move on to the next section. So, this time, please write a new question in the chat. I'll start the timer, so you have 4 minutes to write a new question in the chat. My original question is there a castle in the world that you would like to go and see? But now you can write a new question in the chat. So please enjoy using English. All right, Disney says, yes, I would like to go and see Himeji Castle, which was one of the most beautiful castles in Japan. Me too, Disney. And by the way, Disney, thank you very much for joining tonight's show. All right, so now please write a new question in the chat. My original question is there a castle in the world that you'd like to go and see? But now you can write a new question in the chat about anything. Castles, Japan, food, drinks, anything is okay. Is there a okay, sorry, not don't worry about my question. I want you to try to write a new question in the chat. I think, the most simple question would be, is there a place in the world that you would like to go to? Is there a place in the world that you would like to go to? But, as I always say, any kind of question is okay. Hakanona says, what would you like to do if you went to the castle? Great question. Well, number one, take some pictures. Castles are amazing, very beautiful places. And so, number one, take some pictures. And number two, I always think, it's like for me, I love to think like, wow, people a long time ago kind of made this kind of building, and it's just, admire how people from hundreds of years or maybe around 1,000 years ago designed and built like this kind of place. So for me, I love to kind of admire their ability to make like a castle. All right, Hiro T says, is there a museum in the world that you would like to visit? Great question. Tough question. Great question, Hiro T. How about you? Okay, Workshop says, is there a castle in the movies and stories that you would like to visit? I'd like to visit Cinderella Castle. Good question. For me, not so much. Not so much. But great question. Great question. I mean, and maybe, I think, for me, I love Roman, like the Roman Empire history. So I'm kind of curious about that. Takesh says, where in the tourist destination would you like to visit in the world? Great question. How about you, Takesh? Going back to K Workshop's question, one thing that comes to mind for me is the Colosseum of Rome, like in ancient times. I think the Colosseum of Rome must have been a very exciting place. So I think if I could go back in history, I would like to see the Colosseum during a big, event or show, just to see what it was like. And Takanona, how about you? What would you like to do if you went to a castle? Please let me know in the chat. And T, please let me know if there's a museum that you would like to visit someday. And Takesh, where or what tourist destination would you like to visit? Takanona says, when I visit a castle, I want to see the view from the top and feel like the castle owner. Nice idea. Very nice idea. I think that's great. I went to Numata Castle recently, and from the top of the kind of ground of Numata Castle, the view is very beautiful. So that's great. Nice idea. But, you gotta be careful. Some castle owners, it doesn't end nice sometimes. Okay, well, let's move on to the next question of tonight's show, which is, Nagoya Castle is the most beautiful castle I have been to so far. How about you? Please listen and repeat. Nagoya Castle is the most beautiful castle I have been to so far. How about you? One more time. Nagoya Castle is the most beautiful castle I have been to so far. How about you? All right, so now please write your answer in the chat. I'll start the timer, so you have 4 minutes. All right, so Nagoya Castle is the most beautiful castle I have been to so far. How about you? Please write your answer in the chat. Basically, this kind of sentence / question is like, what is the most beautiful castle you have been to so far in your life? For me, I haven't been to many castles. I just like kind of Edo / Tokyo Imperial Palace Castle, and then Shizuoka City, Numata, and yeah, maybe a few other places. But Nagoya Castle is the most beautiful castle I have been to so far. How about you? Please let me know in the chat. And Mama says, I've never been there, but I'd like to visit there someday. I recommend it. Nagoya City is a very interesting and fun place. Lots of energy in Nagoya. And there's Nagoya Castle, and I think I forgot. I forgot, but I think it's something maybe Atsuji Atsuji Temple or something. Yeah, I'm so sorry I forgot, but it's a beautiful place too. Very beautiful, and lots of great food in Nagoya. But I would say you have to be very careful because Nagoya food is kind of high calorie, rich. All right. T says, when I visit Nagoya City, it was raining and I couldn't see very well. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, T, but thank you very much for sharing your idea. Okay, Agner says, the castle in Germany is the most beautiful castle I have been to so far. Great. Okay, Workshop says, I've been to Nagoya Castle twice. I also think it is a very beautiful castle. Thank you. Takanona says, I think so. I like the golden orchard. Me too. Yes. I would just, my only critique about Nagoya Castle is it's very beautiful from the outside. I love that. Like the outside of the castle and the grounds. Kanmama says, and I'd like to eat eel in Nagoya. Me too. But inside the castle, I was a little bit disappointed. But outside the castle, I thought it was very beautiful. Okay, great job, everyone. Nice work. Let's move on to the last section of tonight's show. So this time, please write a new question in the chat. You have 4 minutes. So I'll start the timer. All right, so please write a new question in the chat. As always, you can write your question about anything. The most important thing is to enjoy using English. Let's have a great time. So, if you want to, you can talk about castles, but you can talk about park. Anything's okay. All right. A Hybrid says, I want to go to Mont Saint Michel. Okay, let's go. Yeah. Yeah, and for me, I think it's so interesting, like when you combine like a castle or a shrine. Like in Hiroshima, there's the gate, jinja, like shrine gate in the ocean. That's very beautiful too. It's always beautiful when you can combine buildings and oceans together. Yeah. Thank you, A Hybrid, for sharing your idea. And yeah, in this sentence is very useful. To talk about anything. Like, for example, like maybe in my case tonight, I'm drinking Maru Nihonshu. I don't know if it's the best, but it's one of the best, one of the best Japanese sakes I've ever drunk. How about you? K Workshop says Hong Kong is the most lively place I've been to so far. How about you? Great question. Nice idea, K Workshop. Um, all right. Takanona says some Japanese people prefer castle ruins to actual castles. What do you think? Nice question, Takanona. Everyone's different, and so it's great. If you enjoy seeing castle ruins, that's okay. If you enjoy seeing, rebuilt castles, that's okay. All right, Takesh says, have you ever been to Lockhart Castle in Agatsuma? I don't think so. How about you, Takesh? The most, going back to K Workshop's question, but the most lively place I've ever been to. It's a tough question. It's a tough question, but I think, maybe like around Shinjuku. No, but in Tokyo, there are some very lively places. But I think, in Japan, like even in like a fireworks festival or just a big festival, so many people, super lively. Like even Maebashi City, usually very quiet and not many people downtown. But when there's a festival, it can become super lively. So um, it's tough question. And all right, well, if you're still typing, please feel free to share your ideas now or after the show. You can share your ideas in the comments. All right, as I will try to share my ideas in the comments. But anyways, that's the end of tonight's show. Thank you so much for studying and using English with me. Takanona says, I like to see castle ruins and imagine what castles must have been like. Minowa Castle in Takasaki is a good place. Thank you very much, Takanona, for sharing your idea. So, our next show will be English, Spanish, Japanese Live on Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. And then Easy English, German, Japanese Live on Thursday. And the next English Conversation Live with Study Buddy will be on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. And I decided not to announce the theme of the episodes anymore, but the next theme will be nature. So, anyways, if you haven't already, please subscribe and give the show a big thumbs up. I hope everyone has a great evening and a happy Monday morning. I will see you next time. Nos vemos pronto. Bis bald. また近いうちに会いましょう. So have a great night.